Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kia Simone. We are here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, the reunion part 1. So let me say this up front. This reunion is already a lot. I don't know what in the Clinton administration interrogation I done watched, but let's just get right on into it. While you're here, before we get lost in the sauce, because we's gonna get lost in the sauce. If you have not already, please be sure to click that subscribe button, We're going to try to just take this in segments, since this was just segments of questions. Let's segment 1. So the episode opens up. We see everybody coming in. Carlos is apparently pulling from his Real Housewives of Atlanta days, because this is the exact format of a Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion. You see everybody coming in, and then you see the producer check in. Hey, how y'all doing? Checking on everybody. And he lets them know that he is going to be the host. Mel is the only one who's excited, because I think she thought her and Carlos were friends. She found out this was a job today. We see everybody coming out to take the stage. First out is Kimmy and Maurice. Now, let me tell you, I wasn't really completely feeling anybody's fashions altogether, but Kimmy looked nice. Other than the fact that it looked like she couldn't move in the dress, but it was a nice look. After Kimmy and Maurice come out, we have Tisha and Marcel. Tisha and Marcel come out looking like the height of the Ike and Tina Turner review. What in the Supreme's hell was Tisha wearing? Tisha done slayed all season. I cannot believe she showed up to this reunion in that orange sequin feather dress with that bouffant shiny black wig on and them streaks of gold highlighter up her face. Just like, no ma'am. Next out is Martell. Martell comes out looking like the great-grandson of Django and Colonel Sanders. As usual, his clothes too tight for him to put on his good common sense when he came, because he talked crazy through this whole damn thing. Lastly, we have Mel come out. Mel is beautiful, and she looks beautiful, but she was giving me Kiki Shepard at the height of the Apollo days. One thing they definitely need in Huntsville is a stylist. But let's just carry on, because that's the least of their worries in the midst of this mess. So Carlos starts the conversation off by asking them, are y'all nervous that I'm hosting? And Tisha said, absolutely. Kimmy is like, no. And Martell is like, well, I got mixed feelings about it, because you know everything. It's kind of a problem for us. We can't lie like we want to. Carlos explains that he is hosting because he wants to make sure that we get the answers we're looking for. So they start off by showing a reel of what has happened over the last 3 years. And Carlos asked them, how does it feel to look back and see where y'all started to where y'all are now? And Tisha was like, it makes me very happy, because I said I was going to do that and I did that. And, Marcel is like, yeah, I'm proud of you. And she goes, I'm proud of us. Okay. So Carlos goes into how, he has an extensive background working in reality TV, and he knows the toll that it can take on your mental health. And he speaks to the fact that Tisha has completely gotten off of Twitter and asked her why. And she was like, people are just mean. And I quite often drag Tisha by the bun, but apparently Tisha is getting dragged all through all the internet streets. So Carlos asked Mel and Martell, he's, brought up the fact that the reason the show even exists is because Mel and Martell pitched the show to him, which was supposed to be a show about power couples in Huntsville. Here the show is in full development, and they're no longer a couple. So do they have any regrets about doing this show? Mel was giving full-on pageant answers, okay? Mel said no, because basically there were so many great things that have happened for them that would have taken a lot longer to happen had they not been on this show. And so she's decided to focus on the positives, because you just have to, find the positive. Martell said, well, damn it, yeah, I regret it. And Carlos is like, well, tell me why you regret it. I mean, we ain't gonna cancel the show, but you can tell me why. Well, Martell is like, the way that this all came about is I asked Mel 7 or 8 years ago, what did she want to do? And she told me she wanted to be on TV. So I feel like I made sacrifices to make that happen for her. And basically it has cost him everything. Mel is like, well, listen, in terms of him making sacrifices, he did what any spouse should do, which is if you know that there's something your spouse wants to do, you get behind your spouse and you help them do it. And Martell says, well, I'm talking about creating. Carlos is like, well, do you feel like you created the Melody Holt brand? And Martell says, well, I definitely brought it out. It was in this moment that I said, okay, God, I understand why I got to be single till I get where I'm going. You just said the woman told you that her dream is to be on TV. This is what she wanted to do. So if this is what she wanted to do, she done been a brand in her head a long time before we ever knew anything about it. Now, I get what he's saying in terms of he helped to manifest, he helped to develop that, he used whatever tools and resources he had available to him to make it happen for her. But see, this is why, you got to look deep before you leap and be careful with who you partner and pair with, because people will give you help and want your credit. So Carlos asked him, are you basically saying that you did the show for Mel? And he said, well, let me be clear that the reason I'm saying I regret doing the show is because anything that I feel like contributed to me losing my family, I would like to take back. Because I feel like us doing this show shined a light on something that was a personal matter that could have been worked through. But because it was in a public setting, it turned out the way it turned out. And so Carlos asked, do you think y'all would still be married if it had not been for the show? Martell's like, yeah. And Mel said, absolutely not. Martell said, well, I'll tell you why. The reason why I think we would still be married if it were not for the show, is for the same thing you and Tisha were just talking about. Tisha said Carlos gave her the advice to not read the comments. He said, and I would tell Mel all the time, don't read the comments. She would come to me 2-3 times a day. These people saying in the comments. Well, if you don't read the comments, you won't get your feelings hurt. Why is you worrying about what they're saying in the comments? If you let me cheat in peace and stop worrying about what these people saying, we might be all right. But she was always reading the comments. And so if there were not this outside influence, if there were not this outside expectation that maybe she felt she had to live up to, yeah, we would still be married. And I'm going to tell you the truth, that has some truth in it. The reason I think that has some truth in it is because the fourth baby came about after we know she knew about all the infidelity and everything that was going on. So it does kind of seem like if this had not become a public thing, there might have been some sweeping under the rug and they might have still been married. I think so. And Martell seals it off by saying, listen, I'm probably the most disliked person on this cast, but I'm cool. I'm not even bothered because I don't read the comments. I don't care what them people got to say. Martell, I get what you're saying. And I ain't qualified to diagnose nobody, but that's probably your narcissism. I'm like a lot of % sure that that's a symptom of your narcissism, as you don't give a damn about nobody but you. But what do I know? Martell makes the comment about being the most disliked person on the cast. Marcel and Tisha said probably the second most, because we think Tisha is the most disliked. Carlos uses that opportunity to segue into, well, speaking of Tisha and Marcel, when we started the show, when you found out that the show was going to be called Love and Marriage Huntsville, you sent a scathing email to the producers. Would you like to tell us why? Marcel basically goes into saying, yeah, because I thought this was going to be some HGTV style show about construction and stuff, and I'm good at construction. I'm not good at love and marriage. I just happen to be married. Carlos asked Maurice, he says, well, at the time you were in law school, so when you hear people now say things like the show started off positive and it's just arguments, how do you feel about that? He says basically that we're all successful individuals, and one thing that the show does show is success from inception to completion. So to say that it has gone from sugar to hint is just a little bit inaccurate. So then they go into, why does Maurice never defend Kimmy when it comes up that Kimmy might be a side chick? Maurice responds with this whole, because that would be like me responding to someone calling me an alien. It's an impossibility. Does Maurice think he's smart, or do he think we dumb? What are you talking about? I get that Maurice is a lawyer, and I don't know if he talks like a liar because he's a lawyer, but he talks like he doesn't seek to tell the truth. He just seeks to create reasonable doubt. I can't deal. He goes into this whole, it would be humanly impossible for her to be my side chick. I can pull up the U-Haul receipts and all of that. All you got to say is, this woman was never my side chick. Why do we have to listen to this whole thing about aliens and physical impossibilities? You don't sound as smart as you think you do. When Carlos is over the alien impossibilities of it all, he just turns back to Martell. Martell, did you not say you heard that Kimmy was the side chick? And he was like, yeah, I heard it from Marceau. He said it kind of jokingly, but yeah, I heard it from Marceau. Marceau said, well, you know how you know I said it? Because Martell said I said it, so you know I didn't say it. Martell is like, yes, you said it to me. You said it jokingly, but you said it because how else would I know their business? So Kimmy goes into, well, you and Mel were sitting in the doctor's office talking about it, and you said I was a side chick, and now we've had a conversation about it, but you know, since you asked, I want you to know I forgot. And then Marceau, you laughed about it, and Marceau was like, when? In Vegas. Oh, a few years later? Oh yeah, I did. I sure did. Carlos finally decides, I'm going to Tisha the tiebreaker. Tisha, did you hear it? Tisha's like, hold on, let me check my feathers. Tisha is like, well, listen, what had happened was Kiowa came to my house and Kiowa said Kimmy was the side chick. But I don't know the timeline because I wasn't there, so I don't know. But, I mean, I don't believe it. And so Kimmy's response was, well, here's the thing. Kiowa never said that I was the side chick. Kiowa implied that I interfered in their marriage, meaning that she interfered with their ability to reconcile. So Carlos asked Maurice, did you file for divorce more than once? And he said, no, I filed one time. She avoided service. And then months later, she got served by the sheriff. Carlos said, well, did you try to work it out with her after filing for divorce? And Maurice said, no. He said there was an incident that happened. 2 days later, he packed up his stuff. He hit the road, Jack, and didn't come back no more. He says he met Kimmy after he filed for divorce and hadn't been living with his ex-wife for almost a year. Now, he said there was a whole bunch of women that could have been considered side chicks because he went Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo when he left. But the issue, Kimmy says, is that all of his seed sowing stopped with her. And so that's why Kiowa has taken issue with Kimmy. Carlos asked, what did the toothbrush comment mean? When Patricia and Kimmy were talking, Patricia made some comment about Maurice not wanting a toothbrush that was used, referring to Kiowa. And I'm so glad Carlos asked this question because I really just chalked it up to the country cobwebs of it all because I didn't know what she was talking about. I'm like, what? Maurice poses the question, well, if somebody used your toothbrush, would you still want it? Carlos is like, I don't do riddles, so are you basically saying that Kiowa did something unforgivable in your marriage? And he said, basically, yes, that's exactly what happened, and I don't want that toothbrush no more. So he asks Kimmy, how are she and Kiowa? And Maurice says, we're good. Excuse me, Sister Sledge. I know that we are family, but could you please let her answer? So Kimmy says, oh, well, we're better. We're better than we were. You can't expect for us to be besties because it didn't start off on the right foot. She did say that she gave Kiowa a heads up that this whole thing was going to come back up on the show so that they didn't relapse back into first wife, new wife battle. So segment 4 kicks off with the story of Mel and Martell. So we see a flashback from the beginning of the show to now, the development of the story of Mel and Martell as we know it. At the end of the reel, Carlos asks Mel, how does it feel to look back on all that and relive those moments? And Mel says, well, those were very real moments. The most beautiful part was watching her baby be born, but the rest of it was BS. And so Carlos was like, well, what do you find to be BS? She says, well, for one, watching Martell contradict himself and make things up. And Martell says, well, what did I contradict myself on exactly? Martell, these people just played a whole reel of you lying and getting caught cheating and everything else. Like, this was your opportunity to sit back and be quiet and just let us look at you in your Django blue, but you insist on speaking. So here we go. Mel says, for one, you started out that whole reel saying you're not a cheater. He goes, who, me? No, the other bald fool in tight clothes in the video. What are you? Yes, you. He goes, I'm not a cheater at heart. You know, and most people would look and go, well, I mean, of course you're a cheater. You cheated. You're a cheater. But I'm not a cheater at heart. I don't normally cheat, and the next woman I get with, I won't cheat on. Look, campaign for your next woman some other time, but you ain't gonna be lying in our damn faces. I done had enough of it for the last 3 years watching this. Save it. So Carlos says, you know, at the last reunion, y'all were a united front. What in the pandemic happened in y'all house that y'all went from Mel wearing blonde wigs, screaming Team Hulk, get down or lay down, to we don't lay down with each other no more? What happened? Well, Mel was like, yeah, so it was the middle of a pandemic and he just kept leaving the house for hours at a time, and that just wasn't working for me. So yeah, that. Carlos asked Martell, well, where were you going? And Martell says, the gym. Carlos said, but the gyms weren't open. Martell said, mine was. Excuse me, not that I'm qualified to diagnose nobody or nothing, but this might be another symptom of your narcissism where you just say any damn thing and think because it came out of your mouth, it sounds good enough to make sense and we shouldn't ask no questions. Like, so to counter the crazy, Carlos breaks down to Martell exactly what he's saying. He says, Martell, we were in the middle of a panorama where there was a disease floating around. Nobody knows what it is, what it's gonna do to us. It's just affecting people left and right. Your wife just had a new baby, and in the midst of all of that, you are running the street and not coming home. Do you see how that could make her feel? And Martell's response is, well, when you put it like that. Well, I'll be damned. How was you putting it, Martell? When you put it like what? The truth? Because that's what happened. Like, I don't know what in the CDC you were watching, but yeah. But you want us to just skip over all that and believe you was at the gym, just pumping up your body for your 2 little clothes. Martell, get your ass out my face. Carlos is like, well, listen, I have to put it like that to put it into context that you were doing all this to basically go sleep with the other woman. And so he was like, well, no, that's not what was going on. That's not what happened. He said, well, how did she get pregnant? And Martell says, well, you know, let's do the math. Carlos said, well, let's do the math. I got pen and paper. Let's add it up. When is your son's birthday? Now all of a sudden, Martell don't want to do the math no more. You say, you know what, never mind. I don't want to talk about that. Let's just leave that alone. Mel goes, the pandemic was one thing, but the other thing was the things that he was saying. And he was saying things to me like, eventually I would learn to accept him cheating, and that I should speak to the elder women who could educate me on how this works. And I told Martell he should maybe speak to elder men who could tell him how to get over his issue. Martell said that he had spoken to the elders and they basically told him to cheat better. Get you somebody who got something to lose, make her sign a contract and things like that. And she said when she realized that he was just trying to figure out ways to cheat better, that is the point at which she decided to leave. And I'm gonna tell you, it makes sense and it don't make sense at the same time. Because I've been a woman in similar situation where the man done did everything under the sun and you ain't left. And all he did was said something odd to you on the wrong Tuesday, and now you's done. So I get that. I believe it's possible. However, does what she's saying now contradict her story for her whole God Said Go campaign? To me, it does. But I mean, I know there's going to be somebody that tells me that's not what she's saying, that these are two separate incidents. But, okay. So Mel basically explains that there was this whole incident that caused her to find out that he was cheating, where the side chick was calling. She answered the phone. The girl told her, I ain't call. You put Martell on the phone. Martell is hiding somewhere in the house refusing to get the phone. And that is how she found out that there is infidelity in her marriage. And from then to the point that she filed, the only advice that he had gotten was on how to cheat better. That was, for her, what led to her leaving the marriage. So somehow this leads into them talking about the fact that Martell had accused Marceau and Mel of messing around because they talk to each other or have some sort of interactions or communications a lot. And Martell said, well, no, I'll tell you why, but that ain't quite why. The reason why stems from that same event. That when this whole explosion happened, I guess they was in there whooping each other's ass. And Mel's mama called Marceau because she worked for Marceau's company at the time. And she just flipped completely out by, could you please come help me get these dogs off each other? Apparently, Mel is flipped out. Marceau starts trying to reach out to Mel. He gets her on the phone. She's crying and carrying on, says she's on some road by the Chick-fil-A. He meets her there and he goes to console and encourage her, which is the same thing that he would expect any of his friends to do on his behalf. And Martell says his issue with that is the timing. It's not just a friendly drink. It's that it looks like you are trying to get in. He said at a time of hurt, it's not a good look for you to be coming around by, wait, maybe we should have some drinks. Quite honestly, if it were me and my man got into it and my girlfriend said, I reached out to him and said, to see if we wanted to go get some drinks. Oh, baby, me and you is going to have a misunderstanding. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? So as Martell is explaining his issue with Marceau's offer for drinks, Tisha woke up. Tisha said, who said something about some drinks? So Marceau goes into this whole, no, you don't understand because you're a non-drinker. You think that it's one thing that it's not. Tisha said Marceau called Mel for drinks. Carlos must have recognized the Wanda rising up in Tisha. Carlos said, before Tisha tear my damn set up, excuse me, Tisha would like to know if Marceau called Mel for drinks. And Martell said, yeah, he did. Tisha looked like she forgot where she was at. She was getting ready to tear that damn United front down and whoop Marceau's ass. The way her neck swung, I'm surprised her wig didn't fall off. Marceau got real nervous and this whole thing went left. Marceau started explaining the whole drinker versus non-drinker, that non-drinkers see it differently from drinkers. I'm a drinker and I don't see it differently, and I don't really agree with Martell for the most part, but I agree with him on this point. That's just me though. But back to Tisha getting ready to drag Marceau by his scalp. So Carlos turns to Mel and is like, did that happen? And she's like, well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. But before that, I would like to give this speech. So she goes into saying how she thinks she can't believe that Martell would insinuate such a thing and blah, 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 blah. So Mel gives her version of events that, she was all upset. She just found out she being cheated on. Marcel only tried to intervene to offer support, and that nothing inappropriate has ever happened between she and Marcel. And Martell says, well, I just don't appreciate a gesture like that at that particular time. Mel turns to Kimmy and Maurice and goes, he's trying to say that his friend wants his ex-wife. And Kimmy looked like, girl, you got the whole world calling me a side chick, so leave me out that shit. I don't give a damn. He said, do you think that Marcel had a crush on Mel? Do you think that, like, he wanted her? And he's like, no, it's just that I don't think that was appropriate. And Mel said, well, I really think he was just feeling insecure because of what he was doing. Now, I don't know what happened, but in an ADHD minute, they went from talking about the whole Marcel Mel Martell dynamic to fellatio. I checked out for 1 minute and I just hear fellatio left and right. What in the hell is going on? Martell brings up that he and Mel broke up over the lack of fellatio, or her unwillingness to perform it. And he's saying, she refused to do it to me, but come to find out, she went outside the marriage and she was doing it with other people. And this is where this reunion took another sharp left turn. It just goes downhill from here. She left me because I wanted that and she wouldn't do it, but she was doing it to other people. And Mel says, you have no idea what I was doing with other people. And he says, well, yeah, I do, because you confessed to it and I recorded it. Oh my God. And begins the Clinton interrogation. This was, I ain't seen nothing since Monica Lewinsky. Carlos starts asking, well, did you cheat? Mel is like, no. And he said, okay, while you were legally married to Martell, did you sleep with another man? And she said, before I left, no. He said, okay, because this is what you got to do when people lying. Let me rephrase the question 14 times. So he said, okay, before Milani was born, did you sleep with another man? She said, no. So Martell goes in to ask because, see, these liars know each other. And he know the question to ask to hem her up. He starts to ask the question. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And Carlos is like, no, go ahead, because if you know the code to unlock this damn safe, then put it in. Martell says, did you or did you not, and I'm going to be specific, did you perform fellatio on a man? Mel says, okay, and I'm going to be real specific. No, I did not. A man performed it on me, and I told you about it. And everybody's faces hit the floor. Say what now? So Martell turned into Matlock. Martell said, I ain't dressed like Colonel Sanders for no damn reason. Martell started to press the witness, okay? Martell said, but you told me you performed fully. Not that I don't care nothing about what nobody did to you. You told me you did it to him. And she said, but I just answered your question. He said, no. I got a recording that says you did X, Y, and Z with that man. Did you not say that? Mel started that whole, well, I don't remember. I said, is the witness cracking? I don't remember. I may, no. As far, I remember him doing it to me. I don't remember doing it to him. I don't remember. You don't remember. For you to sit up and tell me you don't remember whether you had a pretzel dog in your mouth or not, girl, bye. Like I said, long time ago, these folks been cheating on each other for a very long time. You gonna sit in our face and tell us you don't remember? Martell done cracked the code for when Mel lied. All you gotta do is tell her you got a recording. That's why Mel liked to scream, prove it. When Martell says, prove it. Martell said, I'm gonna prove it today. I got a recording. I dare you to lie. And when Mel actually backtracked, I said, does Martell have her by the lace front? So even Carlos is like, yeah, Mel, so about that. With you saying you don't remember, it's kind of hard to take you serious because I would think that you would remember putting your mouth on something. And Mel is like, no, I get it, but, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I did that. But he's saying he's got a recording, so I mean, I don't know. So your truth changes according to what evidence is available? Either you did it or you didn't. You been married to the same man basically most of your adult life. You know if you put a different pretzel dog in your mouth. Like, Mel, please go somewhere and play with somebody else. See, this is what happens when you marry a dummy, okay? And you ain't been sharpening your damn iron. Iron sharpens iron, and you playing with that damn rubberhead Martell, coming to us with the same stupidity that works with him. You gonna have to go work on your defense because Martell done turned into Matlock and dragged you by your damn lace front. So Carlos asked Mel, did you stay because you didn't want the other woman to win? Mel's response is no, because I'm not in competition with anyone. I stayed because I didn't want to just give up on my marriage immediately. I know that he's an imperfect person and I wanted to give him a chance to change, to fix things, to get right. And basically I realized that was not going to happen. Carlos asked Martell, did you think Mel would ever leave you? Martell's answer is no, I didn't think she would ever leave me. And it has nothing to do with the cheating or baby or anything. We used to go to church. I would go to the altar for the pastor to pray for me because I saw the damage it was doing to my family, and it just that I knew that wasn't me. That wasn't who I truly was. And so, no, I didn't think it would end up like this. Carlos asked Martell, was it that you just couldn't stop cheating? Or was it that you couldn't stop cheating with her? And Martell says it was with her. If it were anybody else, it might have just been, I cheated, I had sex 1 or 2 times, and I went on with my life. But there was just something about the connection that I had with this woman. Carlos asked him, well, was it a personal connection or a sexual connection? And Martell says it was a personal connection. And this leads to what I think will go down as one of the most disrespectful questions, one of the most disrespectful moments in reality TV history. So Carlos poses the question to Martell. He says, listen, people think that you're a sex addict, and I personally don't think you're a sex addict. He said, when I learned that you were on top of the fact that you cannot leave this woman alone, when you were leaving your house in the middle of the pandemic to go see this woman, I said to myself, there's something that is drawing him back to her. And so people refer to her as cold salt or the side chick, but I think to you, she's the whole damn restaurant. I think you visit her during opening hours, after hours. She's the dessert. She's the entree. She's everything to you. And you try to diminish her by calling her a peasant to deny and disconnect from the fact that you love her. So having said that, if you had met this woman before you met Melody, would you and this woman be married? If there were ever a moment that I wanted to just get up and hug Melody, it was this one. Y'all ain't never heard me say that because she got her ways and I know she does her things. But it was just distasteful. It was uncomfortable. It was cringy. Literally, I watched her just sit there and try to hold herself together. It was the most disrespectful question you could have asked. If you didn't ever know before, you better know now. That is not your friend. That is your employer. And then Martell sits there, like a child with a mouthful of candy. Like he just couldn't even contain the excitement and the joy that, every second that went by, he was just getting happier and happier at the hurt that he knew. Because no matter what, no matter how, hard a shell she puts on, how tough a front she puts up, this was this woman's life. And When you set a plan for your life in your early 20s and you find yourself in your mid-30s and that plan has just, collapsed and dissolved, that's enough to break anybody down. Even if you realize this man ain't no good, even if you realize it's a blessing that you have been released, it does not take away the hurt of losing the family unit you built. It does not take away the hurt of losing the dream you had. It doesn't take that away. And for Carlos to open the door, for Martell to emotionally punch her in the face was just classless and distasteful for me. I don't care how real and raw you want the reunion to be. I don't care how much we're incorporating what the fans are saying, asking, and thinking. There have to be lines. There has to be some respect. There has to be some integrity somewhere. That was just too much for me. And that's where this episode actually ends. However, before we get on off to next week, let me go ahead and answer the question for you. The answer is no, they would not be married. You know how I know? Because they ain't married now. If he wanted to marry her, if she was all that he was claiming she was, guess what? When he got them papers from the court to say you ain't married to her no more, he would have ran and got married to her. I've seen it happen. So the answer is no. They would not have been. They enjoyed the thrill. Sometimes it's the thrill of the secret. It's the thrill of the chase. It's the thrill they enjoyed. And the thrill is gone. That's why they ain't married now. But don't get me started. So we see that next week that our side dishes like Destiny and Tiffany are going to be coming in to get roasted and burned just like the rest. Because I don't even know what this was. And between having to record this twice and the way this particular segment of this reunion ended, I would just need a moment to myself. We just gonna end it right there. Thank you for coming down here and listening to me, letting me get it off my chest, because these people done pissed me off with their foolishness. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I was just a few away from 300, and I really wanted to get into that and ask y'all to subscribe and get me up to 300, but you know, this had thrown me for such a loop, I had to just get down here and talk about it, okay? But please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. As always, I appreciate you. I will see you next time. Love you, mean it. Bye.